Hello, I'm Toycat, and today I'll be showing you a secret for each of the mobs in Minecraft. Secret is a word that can have lots of definitions, but for this video, we'll be using it to mean something you almost certainly didn't know about each of the 80 plus mobs in Minecraft. I've grouped them together into 57 categories by taking all of the fish and all of the skeletons and grouping them into one, which I'll be showing you today, starting with the alley, which fun fact can hold a totem of undying. But even more fun fact is that if you kill the alley with a totem, it will use the totem to save its life. It is one of only 2 mobs to be able to do that, and you'll never guess the other one, as well as a mob from a 4th dimension. But first, before we leave the alleys behind, here's another fun fact. If you have a block which the alleys want to pick up, like oak, as you can see, they'll do precisely that, but only if mob griefing isn't turned off. If it is, they will not be able to pick up these blocks, because that technically counts as griefing. I think that's kind of weird, but I also think it's kind of weird that the armadillo has a secret texture which you can only see in the game files, where it doesn't have a shell attached to it. Why is the shell separate to the main armadillo texture? I don't know for sure, but I know it's very weird to look at this thing. It's also kind of weird that the armadillos will be, you can get them, the armadillo scutes by brushing them, but they'll also drop some naturally, meaning that with an alley and some armadillos paired together, you can get a ton of the scute without actually doing anything if you want to. I think that's sort of fun. I also think it's sort of fun that the axolotl is not actually meant to be out of water. This is a really surprising fact to me, but yeah, the axolotl is specifically designed not to go out of water. Even though it can go out of there, it will eventually die unless it's being rained on. So make sure you rain or water your axolotls quite regularly. Also, something fun for the sake of this video is that if you name an axolotl, which we're going to do, and then you pick it up a bucket, something interesting will happen. So here is my, here's an axolotl, a nice brown one, called the IBXolotl, because he's subscribed to the channel and he's a big fan. And if we pick him up with a bucket, the bucket will just say, bucket of IBXolotl, which I just think is really, really fun. Also, what's really fun is bats. This is one of those 2 useless mobs where you might think there's no way to find a secret for it, but I think it's interesting that they prefer to fly east. So if we leave them here long enough, they'll eventually fly into the same direction, but also they are one of the most useless mobs in terms of pathfinding. They don't care about avoiding lava in the slightest, so if we place them down, they will all slowly just fly right into it and cause absolute chaos for themselves. So yeah, watch out. If you want a bat as a pet, make sure you don't have any danger near it. Speaking of danger near things, let me just quickly get rid of this fire with my IBXolotl. Let me talk about bees. So, who let the bees out? Well, the answer to that is me. Although, apparently not actually. But one of the fun things about the bees is it is one of the very few mobs in Minecraft that is canonically trans. Here's a Minecraft artist saying that officially. And in case you don't like that fact because you think, well, that's just one person saying a thing, here's something which is verifiable. Did you know that bees count as an arthropod? And so if you have a Bane of Arthropods sword, you might be saying, why have a wooden arthropod sword? But Bane of Arthropods is so useless that why not put it on a useless sword? It will actually damage the bee more, although you'd need to use it. But that's kind of Bane of Arthropods as a whole, isn't it? Speaking of things as a whole, each of these will have a book on screen, as I'm sure you've noticed. These do exist in the world itself, but yeah, they are there so that you can learn some other fun facts, because there are so many I want to include for some of these. Like, blazes can take damage from so many water sources that people don't know. Obviously, water is one of these, not that they can spawn in the same dimension as water, but also splash water bottles, rain, as you can see right here. If we break this glass, the rain will slowly break the blaze, and snowballs will do the same too, and powder snow will not. Oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. I've messed up this video. I'm sorry, I'm human, these things happen, except I'm just kidding. It just like with other mobs, powder snow takes a while to eventually freeze the blaze, but it will actually do so. This makes it one of your fun options if you really want to kill the blaze. You don't need to use your fists, you don't need to use anything you want to, because they hate every form of water, even the frozen ones. Although, weirdly, they seem to hate regular water much more than frozen water, but we'll leave aside the temperature dynamics that the blaze uses, and instead talk about the camel, the largest passive mob in Minecraft, both by area and by height. It's over 2 meters tall, but also they're the only mob in the game that is hurt by their favorite food. This is a kind of weird one, but as you can see, the camel was being hurt by a cactus, but also you can feed the cactus to the camel and they'll go into love mode. This seems counterintuitive that they're hurt by something that, like they seem to love so much, but it's not that untrue for humans. You know, if you humans are poisoned by alcohol, but yet you give it to them and they seem to love each other a whole bunch more. And so keep in mind that camels, therefore, are the most human mob in the game. Cats could be another contender for that mantle too. I think that cats have lots of interesting facts, and the biggest one that might be surprising to some of you if you've only been playing Minecraft for the last few years is that ocelotls and yeah, ocelotls, you know, your boy me over here, but ocelots and cats used to be the same mob. If you want something a bit more spicy, did you know there is a brand new type of cat that Mojang added to the game in 1.14, but they never used? It's called the Grey Tabby, and it looks like this. You can't access it in the game, and that's kind of sad. Also, did you know that cats and creepers don't get along, but in the way that creepers are scared of cats? I think that's hilarious personally. I also think something that I thought was shocking, because for the sake of this video, I had to do a lot of research, and indeed, KMB did even more research, the person who helped me with this, but this is a fact that blew my mind when he shared that with me, because most mobs in, it's something you wouldn't even notice until you see it in a video like this, because most mobs in Minecraft, when they die, they kind of fall to the side, as you probably just saw, and one of the fun things about the spider is that when you kill it, it actually flips all the way upside down. This is the this is one of the only two mobs in Minecraft have a unique death animation, the other being the warden when it kind of goes away, and so yeah, fun fact, the spider flips upside down when you kill it, and as soon as you see it, you just can't unsee it, and so yeah, I think that's incredibly interesting. I also think it's interesting that chickens exist. There are lots of different facts that I want to mention about these, but I'll try my best to say that yeah, lots of people know lots of things about the chicken. Did you know when you use the eggs, for example, there is a 1 in 256 chance of getting 4 baby chickens instead of 1? I think that's really fun. Did you know because they flap their wings, they take no full damage? But the one that I have the biggest personal connection to is the fact that baby chickens can spawn in the Nether because of the baby jockeys that can ride them. This is kind of interesting by itself, and we'll talk more about those jockeys later, but this was useful for me because at one point I was dating a girl who played Minecraft on the consoles, and she claimed, yeah, I was playing the game yesterday and I saw one of these in my Nether, and I knew this wasn't true because they hadn't been added to the Nether yet. She swore it was and that it definitely happened, and that was one of the that was the truth to me that revealed it. So this is a feature. She was a very crazy person, it turned out, and that saved me a lot of the lies that I would later deal with. And so, fun fact, if you learn about how Minecraft works, it might just save you from a bad real life situation. And I guess that's why she's probably one of the biggest proponents of parity, because I never would have known that she just watched a video or made it up if that was true. Speaking of things that are true, fish. Did you know fish are interesting? I want to talk about the pufferfish. He will actually puff up when he gets near an armor stand. I think this is hugely interesting by itself because they're only meant to puff up near players. But instead I'll talk about something weird. Again, big salmon would be my go-to on this one, but this is a Java feature, you can say now. And so instead let's talk about the fish right here. Did you know all clownfish look the same in a bucket, but you can tell which fish you picked up by the name of the bucket. This is a bucket of rose teal clayfish apparently, and then if we pick up this one right here, this is a bucket. Okay, no, I didn't pick that one up correctly. But then if I pick up one over here, you'll see that actually this is you know, I did my best, but they're different mobs. I'm sure you get that point. This is a lime plum flopper, and so if you want to collect every single fish in Minecraft, you're crazy. But you could do it because of the fun little names. Speaking of fun names, did you know that the cow in Minecraft is the first unisex mob, which is very interesting. But also, did you know the cows can turn into mushrooms, and the mushrooms can, if they are, sorry, the cows can spawn as mushrooms, and the mushrooms can turn into other mushrooms if struck by lightning. This makes them much more useful, in my opinion, for making saturation stew. But what I also think is interesting is the base type of cow, this one right here, has actually been found in the real world. So it is based on the Norwegian red cow, the Norwegian red cattle, I believe, and in real life it has a bit of a red hue, but if you look at the image of it in real life and then look at the image of the cow, you'll see that that is the one it's based on. Also, since it's a Norwegian, it's very heavily used in Scandinavia, the majority of all cows up there are that. You can explain why Notch would have designed the original cow to look like this, and so it's fun. The type of cow that is most prominent in Scandinavia is something that affects the mob that we have to use every single day. Also, just in case you didn't know this one, you can shear a mushroom of either variety and go back to a cow. You probably wouldn't ever want to do that, but you know, there's lots of things in Minecraft you wouldn't want to do. Oh god, speaking of things you wouldn't want to do, it's your boy, the Creeper. And so, like with many mobs, there are lots of very intriguing facts about this, but I think the one that is most intriguing is that Minecraft updated all of its textures. Indeed, it was the same artist that mentioned the bee, when all of the textures got updated, they refused to update the Creeper texture because it was just too iconic. But the original Creeper texture, as you can see right here, was made up of just leaves, and so Notchers even imagined a Creeper saying it would feel like crunchy and dry leaves. Also, yeah, I think that's incredibly interesting. Maybe you do too. But also, you might find this interesting. When a charge creeper explodes, any mobs that are killed by it will drop their. Okay, you know what? Come on, charge creeper, come out here. I'm having a bad time. Any mobs that it kill will drop their heads. However, that includes the wither skeleton. This is actually a bug that's just been in the game for so long. It's not meant to drop its head this way. It just kind of does because of the way that the mob head dropping works. And so, fun fact, if you want to get some illicit gains, you can do that with the charge creeper, which is sort of the same mob as the creeper. Do you count them as separate mobs? It's really hard to actually count how many mobs there are in Minecraft. I kind of want to do a whole, I want to do a whole segment on this, but I know you care about secrets. So dolphins. Did you know that this is the silliest one, by the way. Did you know that if you have invisibility, dolphins will give you their Dolphin's Grace effect for less distance? This is something that is hard to show off because of dolphins following you around to give you that. But the point is, yeah, invisible you means invisible to dolphins. Speaking of invisible to dolphins, horses. These are like land dolphins, except they're a lot more useful. Did you know you can feed horses sugar? I think most people didn't know that fact, but yeah, you can know that now. Also, there are 7 different patterns and 5 different colors of horses, so there are 35 different variants, and so you could go and collect them all, including maybe the skeleton horse if you're feeling a little brave, and then all of the donkeys and the mule. You got lots of choices if you want them. Speaking of choices, did you know there are lots of choices for how zombies can spawn? Because they don't just spawn naturally, as most people know them. They can spawn as part of the village raid. This is a siege, I should say. It's a rare mechanic that happens in villages. But also, if you are playing the formerly Big Salmon version of the game, now Big Bone Salmon version of the game, then when you have a zombie of any variety spawning as a baby, that baby can spawn on top of basically any mob in Minecraft. We're going to come back to this guy later, but that means you can get baby zombies riding a mushroom, baby zombies riding a sheep, and even baby zombies that ride a big zombie. It's one of the silliest features that is a real feature, and fun fact, now you know about it. Speaking of fun facts you know about, guardians. Did you know that even when they're on land, they don't suffocate? Most mobs will suffocate when they're out of water, if they're meant to be water mobs, but not the guardian, they'll live just fine. Speaking of just fine, did you know the ender dragon is a terrifying one, but you can get 2 ender dragons. I could summon an ender dragon, but she's not going to last here for very long. Look at this beautiful animation of her we have. So the ender dragon has a super unique death animation too, I guess we should mention. It can only die in that center point of the thing. But also, did you know there's a way to get 2 ender dragons at the same time? If an ender dragon goes through an end gateway, then when it comes back to the, then it will fly back to the main island, while the lost dragon, so there'll be another one that spawns at the main island, while the other one will fly back, resulting in 2 dragons. This happened in my world once, and I ended up with 5 through this one. Okay, that was scary. Oh no, what the heck? What just happened? So if you want to have too many dragons, you can do that. Also, it has an official name, as according to Notch, it is Gene. Oh, I'm looking very good right now. If only there was some milk that I could get. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for that to happen, because for now, let's talk about the Enderman. The Enderman has a very interesting fact, in my opinion, which it can pick up blocks. I don't think the Enderman could be made today as a result of that, because the Enderman literally greases your world by picking up all of these blocks you can see right here, including one most people don't know about, which is powdered snow. Although, he's not going to pick up powdered snow. He's just going to walk around and look at me weird before stealing some stuff. You know what? We can make this happen. Okay, here's all the Endermen. Oh, no. Okay, I'm not going to let this happen. Okay, speaking of things I'm not going to let happen, here are Endermites. Did you know Endermites are presumed to be from the end, but because they can spawn in every dimension, there's actually a confirmation, because of a question asked to Dinnerbone, that these are not from any of the 3 dimensions, but instead are from somewhere in between. Isn't that fascinating? If you want to know some other fun facts, they are the smallest hostile mob in the game, and they always despawn after exactly 2 minutes. Speaking of 2 minutes, that is how long it will take to die to a Ravager honestly. Substantially less time, I think we could say. But I also think it's interesting that the Evoker is a mob which has a particular hatred for blue sheep. If you've never seen this before, it is one of the weirdest niche references in Minecraft, Wolololo, and basically, if you have blue dye, as I do, or if you have a blue sheep, as I'm about to right here, the Evoker really doesn't like this, and does its Wolololo spell, and turns it into a red sheep. This is just such a silly fact in my opinion, and it's one that you would never need to know because who's gonna bring it with them, but that's why it's a weird secret, which you can learn about today, alongside maybe some other more useful ones. Speaking of more useful ones, let's talk about foxes. They are the second mob who can take a totem of dying, and I'm sorry to do this, but it's okay because he's got a totem in his mouth. Here is a fox with a totem, and let me beat him up to try and get it from him, because if I do so, the brutal reality is I won't be able to. He activates it on himself and gets all of those effects, including fire resistance. You can also, wait, you can give chorus fruit to foxes? Okay, I need to see what that looks like. So you can also give chorus fruit to foxes, and I can only imagine how disastrous that ends up going for them. Super, super funny. Anyway, so, yeah, the foxes are very interesting, but so too are frogs. Did you know frogs won't drown when out of water, or inside of water? They're amphibious, one of the only mobs in the game for that to be true, and they prefer jumping on lily pads, and also, they can actually, as you can see right here, look at that, they've got such a preference for lily pads of every single description in the game. Also, you can grow tadpoles in the nether, and they'll grow up like the warm frogs, which is just, you know, it's fun that you could do that if you wanted to, because that is a place you might want to do it. Next up, we have the ghasts. Did you know ghasts are made from seafood? The ghast noise, the iconic, wait, actually, you know, rather than just saying it's iconic, let me show you. Yeah. That noise is C418's cat snoring, but backwards. Isn't that cute? Also, ghasts, actually, it's a common misconception that they will just spawn in midair. They require surface blocks to spawn on. In this case, we've got barrier blocks, specifically to keep them away from me. But if you make the entire floor unspawnable, you won't get ghasts. Most people think they spawn in the air because you see them there, because they float, but that's not actually true. Also, they're the largest mob in the game, as best I can understand. And also, if you get deflected by when the fireball is deflected by the player, it does 1,000 damage towards ghasts. I think that's fun. Also, there's an affectionate sound in the game files, but it broke in between me in this world being made and me being able to share it with you. So here is what the affectionate sound sounds like. Ah, isn't that fun? Yeah, I totally heard that, and that wasn't magical editing. Speaking of magical editing, here is the squid. Here's something weird about it. Squids will drown outside of water, or, you know, suffocate outside of water, but here's something really weird. You can prevent this if you want to. If you give a squid the water-breathing effect, then when it starts to suffocate, as this will in the next couple of seconds, then you can undo this, and I just... that makes... you know, it makes no sense, right, that water-breathing would allow you to breathe outside of water, but in a way it kind of makes sense. It's breathing like you're in water for the squid. Honestly, if you question this too much, then we'll have a lot of problems. But did you know the glow squid is based on a real type of squid? It's based on the firefly squid, and also they can spawn in the nether and the end if you want them to. And also glow squids are from Minecraft Earth, I believe it was called. So yeah, speaking of things from Minecraft Earth, let's talk about the goat now. So yeah, I have a lot of effects. I'd like to get rid of them. If only I had milk. Did you know though, you can actually get milk from a goat? Yeah, you can milk these guys. Isn't that fun? If you happen to know this, they are one of the more useful niche ways to get milk, but also when goats are on honey, they can't jump, and also goats will ram lots of things in Minecraft, mostly the player, but they'll also ram armor stands. I'm gonna wait till one of them does it. It's a matter of time. Also, did you know that about 10% of goats spawn with a horn missing? There's a lot of weird things going on with the goats. But for now, while we show off them, they're very cute, they make a lot of fun noises, let's move on to the next one here, because did you know that hoglins are a mob that exist? You know, I always remember that hoglins are a mob that exists, and you can see that the zoglin is particularly hostile towards armor stands. You'll notice armor stands are a common weird fact that don't make sense about lots of mobs. But yeah, hoglins can be bred using crimson fungi, which make them very useful for nether-only survivals. And so yeah, it's not just the best way to get food in the nether, and leather too, but also it's a way to have a pet if you don't mind your pet trying to kill you. But let's be honest, people have like ocelots and stuff in real life. People have all sorts of animals that definitely want to murder them in real life, so why not have a hoglin in Minecraft? Speaking of weird facts, here is a here are some iron golems, iron golems are a very, very intriguing mob because they are passive towards the player, but still will attack your tamed wolves if it comes to. They'll rarely offer poppies to villagers, and yeah, I think it's the only mob in Minecraft that aren't lifted by balloons. If you're not familiar with balloons, then you can check out my video on Education Edition features, because this is real base Minecraft. This isn't an add-on, this isn't a mod, nothing like that. It's just a thing that exists in Minecraft, and they're the only mob that aren't floating away, which confuses this villager, by the way. Speaking of things that confuse him, things that confuse me are llamas. I don't think a lot of people know about how many fun variants you have of these, because when you put black carpet on a llama, he looks like a bandit. Isn't that fun? But even more fun is if you put green carpet on a llama, there's a creeper pattern on it. I think it's really interesting that the player is putting all this intricate design into making a green design for the llama from that, but maybe you think that's fun too. It also means that you get some really fun textures for each of these and new texture packs, and it's one of those things that most people don't think about, just like how most people don't realize that magma cube, most hostile mobs in Minecraft aren't hostile towards the iron golem, like until the iron golem is hostile towards them, but magma cubes are. It's such a niche interaction, it's never going to come up, but it might, and now you need to know that. Speaking of things you might know, magma cubes will actually, as you can see right here, not drown when they go into lava. They're amphibious, but for lava, I guess. Speaking of things I guess, pandas. Look, here's a very cute upside down panda, not even named Dinnerbone or anything. Here is a snotty panda. When a panda sneezes, it has a 1 in 700 chance of dropping a slime ball. So if you had 700 pandas and they all sneezed at once per minute, you could get a slime ball a minute. So if you want a slime ball farm without slimes, that's one of your ways. Speaking of things, this is a rare panda, right? The brown panda. And so if you want to have the rarest possible mob spawn in Minecraft at a 1 in 3.47 trillion mob rarity, then this guy right here is it. As you can see, the baby husk with full diamond armor is already a rare mob spawn, but for it to spawn near enough to a panda, for the panda to spawn, the panda to be brown, and the panda to actually accommodate that spawn is a 1.372 trillion chance. Basically, it's never going to happen to you in legit survival, but if you want to imagine what it would be like, this is your opportunity. Super, super weird looking, right? I love stuff like this. You know what else I love? Parrots. Did you know that if you want to tame a parrot, you can use rare and exotic seeds like torchflower seeds, or indeed like the pitcher pods? So yeah, fun fact. Speaking of fun facts, phantoms. They will not spawn if there is any blocks above your head. So you probably noticed we've got these fun versions of all the mob heads that we're showing right here. But also they will spawn even when you're in a biome that specifically prevents mob spawns, like say this place right here, the Mushroom Fields biome. So watch out for phantoms even when you're over there. Now we've got the pigs. Pigs are a very intriguing mob, and if you don't know, the creeper came from the pig. The Notch was trying to design a pig and accidentally got the body the wrong way, and the rest is history. But since that fact is mentioned so often over the internet, let's give you another one. When the pig is struck by lightning, he turns into a zombie piglin. In the same way you can get charged creepers, you can get zombie piglins. Also fun is the fact that piglins, not the zombified versions, the regular versions, can open wooden doors. Don't ask me how I know this, because it's a lot of trauma that has resulted in me having this hard-coded into my head. You will you will die in a very painful way if you don't keep this fact in your way. Speaking of things, you can also play piglin sounds from their piglin heads if you have a note block below them. Do you want to do that? Well, I mean, I think that you might want to know about the pillagers. Did you know that they can launch firework rockets? It's a very interesting thing that they can do. And so, yeah, they kind of show the loading animation, but they won't actually fire it. Also, did you know the pillager used to have an old design? Speaking of old designs, we have the polar bear, which was added to the game because of Jeb's wife, funnily enough. Jeb's wife really wanted bears in the game, and to give the story correctly, Jeb said that polar bears would be added to Minecraft if they had a bear of their own. And when their son was born, his name was Bjorn, which is Swedish for bear. So, well played, Jeb, I guess. Looks like the reason we have this guy and his invisible cousin is because of Jeb and his fun. Speaking of fun, here is the next one. Did you know if you rename a rabbit to Toast, you get a fun little variant of it? I think that's a lot of fun, personally. Look how many rabbits we've got around here. I'm surprised none of them are dying. So yeah, let me just make sure we get the exact name. It's Toast with a T, And so as you can see right here, I'm going to make sure I do that. I'm always so bad at capitalizing name tags. I've done it so far so good. But as you can see, this is the Toast Rabbit. And the Toast Rabbit was meant to represent the rabbit of the rabbit of the girlfriend of user Zyzen420. What a beautiful username he has, by the way. Speaking of beautiful usernames, here are the Ravagers. And did you know Ravagers will break a lot of blocks? These ones in particular will be broken immediately, which is why we have to spawn them in. Pumpkins, melons, turtle eggs, and indeed, I think it's wild that they'll do this block too, but yeah, they'll all be broken by Ravagers because they are a very, very messy block. Also, did you know there's a small chance that if you use a shield attack, it will stun? Okay, let me show you this right here, hopefully. There's a small chance it will stun the Ravager, which gives you time to attack it. And so, unlike a lot of mobs, which specifically prevent you from using a shield, the Ravager is best dealt with by using one. I like niche facts like that help you out with Minecraft. Next up, we have the sheep. So if you name the sheep Jeb, I'm going to pray that I get this name tag right. It's one of those things where capitalization isn't obvious. Like, Jeb feels like it should be capitalized because it's a name. But if you name a sheep Jeb, it will glow in a rainbow. Fun fact though, this is only visual. If you actually try to shear the sheep, it will give its original color, and that means that you can sort of use this to obscure what color your sheep are, or you can just use it to make a rainbow pattern. It's up to you really, but you know what else is up to you? The shulker. If you are in creative mode, which I'll do for myself right here, you can dye the shulker. This is so silly. Every time I remember this, I'm like, no, that can't be true. But yeah, you can dye shulkers in creative. This feels like a weird fake fact, but hopefully you can verify everything in this video for yourself. And hopefully if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you know that one of my big things is being truthful. And even though that's hard on YouTube with all of the incentives to do the opposite, I think that it's something that's important. And hopefully you agree. And if you test this for yourself on the Bedrock edition, you'll realize that, wow, it is something that is magical to you. Speaking of things that are magical to you, let's go back into survival and also mention the fact the gravity affected blocks will break when falling onto the shulker. And also the name shulker comes from shell and lurker. I think these are really fun. Next up here, we've got skeletons. There are lots of different things for the skeletons, and so rather than giving you just one fact, I'll give you one for each. First of all, did you know that bogged can be sheared like the mushroom, but unlike the mushroom, they don't lose their poisonous ability, they just lose the mushrooms on their head. Next up, did you know that skeletons shoot at a certain rate? Let me show you right here. So this is the rate the skeleton will shoot at on normal difficulty. It's actually slightly faster on hard. Let me show you. So this is hard difficulty now. 1 arrow, 2 arrow, 3 arrow, 4 arrow. But if we go back to normal, it goes down to 1 arrow, 2 arrow. Okay, the point is, it's slower. Hopefully that was a good demonstration. Also, when skeletons are underwater, including the stray, they hit you with a melee attack. Also, skeletons will never drown underwater. Speaking of things that won't drown underwater, the melee version of the skeleton is just slightly too tall, making him great but easily preventable by having just 2 blocks under him. Also, they don't take damage from wither roses, very useful for wither skeleton farms. Speaking of farms, did you know that slimes are one of the stupidest mobs in Minecraft? And I'm not saying that to be rude, but yeah, their smallest health version can't actually hurt you, which is a good thing in my opinion. But if you want to make sure you hurt them, here's a fun one. They will always pathfind towards you without looking if there's any lava in the way, just like that. And so if you need to get rid of a bunch of slimes, just place fire or lava or a campfire or any source of damage between you and them, and they'll literally walk right into it because they don't understand pathfinding, and that is the one benefit you have for them. The other fun fact in my... Ooh, it's so easy to break a slime block, by the way. The other useful fact to know about slimes is that they will spawn in about 10% of chunks below Y40. It's something I really hope by the time you're watching this has been updated, but it's been about 3 or 4 years, and that means that Oh no, Parrot, why'd you burn to death? Speaking of things that have burned to death, next up here, let's talk about silverfish. This is a fact that blew my mind. It's something that I'm going to confirm for you with B-roll because I don't think I would believe it without it. Did you know that silverfish will not just spawn in their classic end portal place? Man, this guy has a lot of health, huh? But they'll also spawn in in mountains. Okay, you might have known that. But they'll also spawn in the igloo basement and the woodland mansion portal room in some occasions. Absolutely wild in my opinion that that's true, and these are both kind of rare places, so that's why you might not have seen it, but you can find these guys in all sorts of places you wouldn't have known. Speaking of things you might not have known, sniffers. Isn't that fun? So I have to be very careful with my wording here, because if you say usually you would say a baby bat, right? Or a baby cat. But if you say a baby sniff, you get the idea, right? It sounds like something you're probably not meant to say. So that is why they have an official name, which is Snifflet. Rather than saying a baby sniffer, you can say a Snifflet, which is, I don't know, a fun fact to me at least. But also a fun fact to me is that these guys have one of the most misunderstood textures. Their nose looks so much like a face. I don't know how you can't see that. Speaking of things you might not know, yeah, I think it's worth saying the Snow Golem is one of the weirdest mobs. It's, you know, really, I feel like it's just the precursor to the Iron Golem. But did you know the Snow Golem will attack you, or rather can hurt you if there is a mob on the other side. So I'm going to stand between the Snow Golem here and their thing. But also, fun fact is that if they fire their snowballs through lava, their snowballs will have the fire effect, which means that, as you can see, they are going to be able to kill this. Also, they're able to kill each other, which is crazy. But they're going to be able to kill the zombie, and I think that's crazy that they can hurt you and set mobs on fire, despite being snow golems and being seen as pretty tame. Oh, also, my favorite Easter egg in Minecraft, I couldn't go in a video without mentioning this, is you can shear their face off and I can't take the game seriously when I see this. I love it, and it's a quirky Pocket Edition feature that became a Bedrock feature that became a Minecraft feature as a whole. Speaking of Minecraft features as a whole, did you know that there's a small chance for Striders to spawn on top of Striders, but also a small chance for zombie piglins too? When this happens, they will actually have a, as you can see right here, a saddle underneath them. Speaking of things with saddles underneath them, next up, let's talk about turtles. This is a weird one, and it's one that I have to be very clear about. I tested this a few months ago, and it wasn't on Bedrock yet. In a secret update somewhere between there and now, when you kill turtles with lightning, they will drop bowls. This used to be true just on Java, but now it's true on Bedrock too. This is meant to be a reference to a piece of Japanese, you know, like fan culture, but it's a very interesting thing to me. Also, did you know that the baby sniffer is actually, look at this, we'll pass the time real fast. Did you know that the baby turtle is the smallest mob in the game? Look how ridiculously adorable they are. So yeah, or just in case you want a more useful one than that, I guess. Turtles remember where they spawn, and when they get pregnant, when you feed them to breed them, they'll actually go back to their home block, and they'll try to have babies there, assuming it's loaded into the chunk area, of course. Speaking of loaded in, here are Vexes. They're attacking me, and it's real bad, but here's a fun thing about them. They are able to fly through any block, including lava, which is kind of nuts, and bedrock. Also a fun fact is they have a small chance of dropping their iron sword. I'm going to have to see that one to believe it too, I think you'll find. But yeah, it's one of these very crazy facts, in my opinion, that now you know a little bit more about. Speaking of things you know more about, here are villagers. Did you know villagers, when they're struck by lightning, they become a witch? That's kind of fun, huh? Also, did you know that villagers are the most capitalistic mob in Minecraft, and they're the only mob that really has a propensity for money? So let's talk about the Pillager. This is not a pillager, he's the Vindicator, and he is a mob. Very similar mobs. This is the melee version of the Pillager, and did you know if you rename the Pillager to Johnny, he goes a little bit crazy. You could argue he's crazy right now with his ability to take away your shield using his axe attack, but if you name him Johnny, just like the Zoglin, he'll try to attack anything, and if you know about our armor stands so far in this video, you'll know what this means. He will just be enamored by those armor stands, and so yeah, as far as I know, he never actually breaks them, he just hits them every second. It's really bizarre to watch, but yeah, this is a reference to Clockwork Orange. Here's Johnny, and speaking of things that are Johnny, here is a guy that you could choose to name Johnny. It's the Wandering Trader. What's unique about the Wandering Trader? Well, they drink a invisibility potion at night to avoid being attacked by zombies. This is something you might not have known. But also something you might not have known is they despawn in 20 minutes, or 2 Minecraft days, I should say. However, the timer does freeze when the trader's unloaded, meaning you can get more of them if you want to. And speaking of things you might want to, the Warden. There's lots of facts I could say about him, but my favorite is that he has a name. Did you know the Warden's name is officially Jonathan, as well as William? How does he have 2 names? There's whatever, Jonathan William, or William Jonathan, never been confirmed for sure which one's his legal name, is a guy who will shriek attack you, and fun fact, he will never despawn if he's named with a name tag. Speaking of being named with a name tag, this is a witch. I don't want you to hurt me, witch. But I do want you to give me access to a villager, even in a world where you can't brew potions. This is one of my favorite facts that is helping out so much in Super Flat, and let me tell you how it works. If you are less than 4 blocks away from a witch, then there is a chance, and as long as you have less than 4.5 hearts, if you have poison or less than 4.5 hearts, then she will throw a weakness potion about 25% of the time. If you are next to a zombie villager while this happens, as we're going to see right here, we can then heal that zombie villager, and in 10 minutes we'll have a villager, despite having never made a potion or never founding a village ourselves. This is game-changing, and it's one of my favorite facts in Minecraft. You ever have that problem? If so, now you know the solution. By the way, did you know you can actually set up the wither sideways? This is very useful for one of the easiest ways to kill it, and yeah, this is very, very fun. Also, the wither has a painting and even a name. What's the name? Officially, Simmons, question mark. Speaking of things that have names, these dogs are something you would love to name, and did you know that dogs will take fish? Every single type of fish technically works, which makes it one of the very few uses for tropical fish. I mean, you could collect them or you could use them to heal your dogs. It's up to you based on this video, right? But also, here's a fun fact. The wither, is still alive over there somewhere. Hope she doesn't hurt me and my dogs. We'll all be safe, guys. But the dog has a lot of different variants. In fact, because you can name them, make them upside down, because there are 9 different biome variants, and because there are 16 different colors and 40 tail positions, and then 16 million colors, there are 773,094,205,512 different possible visually distinct wolves. And so, really, why? Would you want to do that? Probably not. But yeah, if you want to collect all the wolves, then start getting on your 700 billion quest. Speaking of quest, let's talk about breezes next. This is one of the newest mobs in Minecraft. However, that doesn't stop them from reminding you to ring the bell if you want to learn more about Minecraft mobs. This was an insane amount of research and effort to put together, and if you want to know about the final factor, oh look, you can see the text on the sign goes through the candles there. Here's a secret of candles. Maybe that'll be our next video, a secret of every block in Minecraft. Did you know that eyebrows will glow in the dark? You know, it's weird, you don't notice the eyebrows until it says it. Did you know that they deflect all projectiles except for wind charges, and also, along with activating buttons, levers, doors, and trapdoors, they'll also trigger fence gates, extinguish lit candles, and activate bells. Here are my unlit candles, here is my bell that is being rung over and over again, and here is my fence gate, all being activated by one of Minecraft's most confusing and mystical mobs. But that is every single mob in Minecraft. We gave you a secret for all of them. This is a video that took an insane amount of time. It is one that I've been trying to put together since the last video, because we did a secret for every structure. We did the secrets of the structures, we did the secrets of the biomes, and now we have the secrets of the mobs. What should we do next? Secrets of all of the blocks? Secrets of all of the versions? Let me know down below. But for now, I hope you will enjoy it, because I'll see you in the next one if you did. Well, I mean, I hope so, at least. If you enjoyed this video, you can see more. That's what we do here on YouTube. And if you're a member, you can actually check out this very world where you can read all of the books and test the things out for yourself if you'd like to. Thank you to KMB, thank you to my editors, and thank you to you for making this possible, because I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Make sure my audio's working. Oh, thank God it is. The whole time I was so paranoid about that. But it works.